We are excited to go back to the state of Ohio right now with Stephanie Kight, the CEO of Planned Parenthood Advocates in Ohio. Welcome, Stephanie.
Hey, Stephanie.
Hi, Stephanie, can you hear us?
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
We
Yes,
can.
loud and clear.
All right.
Stephanie, this is Jodi Jacobson from RH Reality Check. How are you?
I'm frustrated today, Jody.
Why? Tell us why.
Well, of course, Ohio passed a budget yesterday that included some terrible amendments for women's health, including amendments that will severely restrict women's access to basic and essential health care that they need to take care of themselves.
So, from the perspective of a provider organization, Stephanie, tell us a little bit about how this would affect the actual women that you see on a day-to-day basis. What do they struggle with? What do you provide them with? And what would they lose if Governor Kasich does not veto these items in the budget?
Women will lose the ability to make their own health care choices and, most importantly, to pick their own provider. They will, the funding that comes to Planned Parenthood to help women who don't have access to health insurance allows women to pick a provider like Planned Parenthood or other family planning providers in the state of Ohio, where they can go and get their essential reproductive health care, a well woman exam, a cancer screening, their annual breast cancer screening. Services like that will be eliminated for women.
And who are the women most affected by this? Give us a sense of, throughout the state, where the greatest effects of these policies would be felt.
Well, for Planned Parenthood, the greatest effect will be in northern Ohio, but there are family planning providers throughout Ohio, mostly in rural areas or underserved urban areas, that will lose the funding for their family planning programs for women. So, of course, it will most dramatically affect women who are poor, who don't have access to health insurance to get their health care needs met.
And what justification are legislators offering for these moves?
Well, I struggle to answer the question there because it seems the only thing I've heard in terms of the funding is they somehow believe that by taking the designated family planning funds away from designated family planning providers and giving them to other types of providers, that somehow different women will be seen. So, of course, we won't see no additional women will get health care, but they somehow think about moving it will give different women access. It's completely ludicrous logic.
Let's talk about that a little bit, because in this budget is the rationale that they're going to take money away from established, respected, experienced providers and give it to who? Crisis pregnancy centers, other places? Where is it going?
What they're saying they'll give it to, so they've created a tiered system. And on the top tier, and the number one tier, are organizations like a county health department, who may or may not have any expertise in women's health care, nor they might not have any capacity to see women. But that's who they'll give the money to, or a private OB-GYN who might want to see women under this program. Anyone who is not a family planning specific provider gets the money first. So if your program is a private, not-for-profit doing family planning, you are on the bottom of the tier to receive designated family planning money.
So this would be like, for example, taking funding that would help people who don't have access to cancer treatment and giving it to orthopedic doctors? I mean, this is sort of like taking it away from the primary experienced provider and giving it to centers that have no experience.
Yes, a generalist, for example. And there's two problems with that. The problem of they don't have the experience that a specialist like a family planning provider would have, nor do they necessarily have the capacity. So as a woman, you may need to get in you might have found a lump in your breast and you want to get in immediately for an exam, but they don't have time because their patient load is too big, and now we suddenly shifted all these patients. So it's a twofold damaging prioritizing for women because they have neither the expertise nor the access.
So what's Planned Parenthood and its allies doing? We spoke earlier to Senator Nina Turner, and of course she spoke a little bit to this, but I'm getting questions myself that I can't answer via email and Twitter. What can people do both in Ohio and across the country? And what are you guys doing? Give us a sense of the protests you're holding, the things that you're doing that people can support in any means, by any means they can.
Right. As a healthcare provider, our first concern is for the women who are going to be affected by these new laws. So we are working very hard right now to figure out how we're going to find ways to serve these women. So that's our number one action in expanding our services or finding other avenues. But also on the political side, we are definitely raising our voices to Governor Kasich. And if people want to take action, what they need to do is let Governor Kasich know that he needs to stand up for women's health. And you can do that by going to @GovernorKasich using the hashtag Veto for Women.
Great. That's great. Veto for Women. Hashtag Veto for Women. Okay.
You got it.
And so like in Texas, are you all planning protests? What's happening down there? Give us a picture of what's happening.
Right. Well, a lot of it's happening on social media. A lot of it's happening with phone calls. We only have a couple days, so every community rally around the state that's happening, every already organized one, whether it's the Pride Rally in Cleveland tomorrow or the ComFest in Columbus, we're organizing and activating around these already established events, getting people to use that hashtag to let Governor Kasich know he needs to line item veto it. We only have between now and Sunday to do that. So it's that kind of activity that we really need everyone to rally around and just let the governor know that this is going to show up when he runs for re-election next year, that women won't forget if he doesn't stand up for us.
Can you say something as to how they justify the so-called pro-life stance with taking access to family planning, cancer screening? How does Governor Kasich or any of the legislators that are pushing for this justify this in public?
Well, and haven't you put your finger on the irony of the whole thing, that they're taking away the very money that would reduce the need for abortion in Ohio? They have no interest in joining us in actually reducing the need for abortion. They just want to shame and humiliate women and make it more difficult and dangerous for them to access the health care. The only justification they have, to tell you the truth, is they're looking to put Planned Parenthood out of business as a way that they think that would somehow reduce the amount of abortions in Ohio.
But
that's the only
I wonder, do they really believe that, or do they just not care? Because I can't even imagine, knowing what we know about the fact that whether or not abortion is accessible, women will have abortions. It's the difference between safe and unsafe abortions. Do they really believe this, or do they just think that after the political tempest dies down, that the individual women will be invisible, the women harmed by this? I can't grasp this.
Well, I think that's the hardest thing in this whole situation to grasp, is the depth of their not caring about women. It is profound how much they do not care about the consequences of women not getting health care. You and I know the consequences. We're women. We know how important it is to take care of our health. We work in this world. They do not care about women.
I work on these issues every day, and I am every day struck in my gut by these things. I cannot comprehend them. I really can't.
It's truly a tragedy, the fact that they don't care for women, and it is a call to action to every woman who has sat quietly while the rest of us has done battle. We need every woman in America, in Ohio, to stand up right now and say, enough is enough. Our health care matters. It matters to us. It matters to our families. And you need to get out of my health care decisions and go back to taking care of the economy.
Right. Isn't it ironic that the most personal, private decisions are what, that legislators and governors, politicians who are the most vocal about so-called freedoms, freedom from regulation, freedom from oversight, are seeking to literally control the bodies of individual women, literally control them, literally tell them lies, force them to go through medical procedures that are unnecessary, eliminate their health care. It's truly, again, I'm really, I don't even know what to say anymore.
Well, and the fact that they're willing to subjugate the entire political process to this one issue. Everything around the country is stopping. All the positive work we need to be doing on jobs and economy is stopping because they are so desperate to interfere with our personal, private medical decisions.
Right.
It really is one of the great tragedies of our American political system today.
Right. Absolutely. I mean, this is just. Again, it is a tragedy because not only that, economically it hurts women, it hurts families. We really have, I agree with you that, I think one of the most important points as we close out this interview to reiterate, and there are many points that you made, Stephanie, is that it's time for all women to stand up. Many of us have been quiet. Many of us have felt ashamed, but it's only in the collective that we shed that shame and stigma and fight against it. And it really is a call to action to every single woman in this country to stand up right now. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for joining us, Stephanie, and really good luck in Ohio, and let us know what we can do.
Thank you so much.
Take care.
Bye.
Hi, so thank you, Stephanie, and thank you, Jodi. This was a lot of fun doing the our brand new special reports are the new work that we're doing here at We Act Radio, so that way we have the ability to do rapid response to the issues that are impacting our community. Here in DC, we have been horribly impacted by the war on women because the Republicans in Congress think that DC is their way to experiment. Since in DC we don't have any elected members of Congress, any senators, we don't have autonomy over our budget. So I think it was last year that they took away the right for DC money to be able to be used to help low-income women have access to reproductive health care and access to abortions. And so we need to keep fighting. We don't have the ability to fight because we don't have any power, any role. So that's why the warrant for us here in DC to cover this issue is critical, and to have the backs of women around the country. We are a little bit short on time, so we are going to have to close out for today, but this is not going to be the only time that we are covering the GOP assault on women. We hopefully be back soon. We loved having Jodi here in studio, so I hope we can get Jodi back here doing more reports for us and talking. She's fantastic. Jodi, close it out.
Well, thank you so much, Melissa. And I just want to say that it struck a chord with me what you just said. No autonomy over budgets or bodies. Mm-hmm. And that's what the reality is. This is what these people are trying to do. No autonomy.
Great. Thank you.
Thank you so much.